Welcome to Startup Health Now. Excited to be here with Josh Stein, the CEO and co-founder of AdhereTech and health transformer extraordinaire. Yeah. Great to be with you. How are you?
Unity, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here. Thanks.
So I thought we'd start by hearing what's going on in the world of AdhereTech. Start with your mission, what you're doing and why you're building AdhereTech.
Yeah, absolutely. So at AdhereTech, and as you know, viewers may not, we make smart pill bottles that track and improve medication adherence. So even though we produce this really robust, beautiful piece of hardware, we still kind of consider ourselves much more of a services company. And what I mean by that is we partner with pharma companies. Pharma companies sponsor programs whereby patients get their medication in our bottle for free. And when they use this bottle, there's a bunch of services that AdhereTech's system provides to patients, basically to help them take their medications as prescribed. And basically all of our patients are taking specialty medications, cancer, HIV, hepatitis C drugs, stuff like that. So it's incredibly important for them to take their meds as scheduled. And yeah, we provide services to them, all driven by this bottle right here.
So talk a little bit about the impact for patients and really what your mission is. So right now we know that adherence or compliance to people just taking their medication is really one of the big challenges. Also a reason why people either don't get better or get sick. What's the impact here for people?
Yeah, absolutely. So medication non-adherence, which is the technical term, people not taking their meds. One of the biggest problems in healthcare today, it basically, it attributes to about $300 billion in increased healthcare costs in the US alone every year. So it's absolutely massive. And our mission at AdhereTech is to create devices that are very seamless for patients to use, so something that fits right into their routine. They use it just like a normal device.
It even looks like a regular pill bottle.
Exactly. So we needed to make something that our average user is 70 years old. We needed to make something that not only works right out of the box and works seamlessly, but also doesn't look intimidating. So we have it look just like a normal bottle. But yeah, our mission is to give patients tools for free to help them take their meds. This is the same bottle that thousands and thousands of patients across the globe currently use, but we put special software on this guy just so we can show it off when we go to meetings and such. But every time the bottle's opened or closed, flashes a white light just to let the patient know, hey, this thing's alive and it's working. Now you'll see it's going to cycle through some of the alerts that we offer. So basically, when it's time for a patient to take a dose, the bottle pulses a light blue color. And then as that dosage time approaches, the bottle will chime. You'll hear that in a few moments. And then after that, we do text messages and phone calls. Our whole design philosophy is have the lightest touch intervention help the patient to take their med.
What I think is really interesting is the data is important to the individual patient, but it sounds like there's a lot you can learn to help patients and even providers by looking at the population or looking at a group of patients. Is that also part of the plan?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, you know, again, we're a hardware company. We produce hardware, but we really consider ourselves a data and services company. So what I mean by that on the highest level is not all types of non-adherence are the same. You know, we see some patients that will have trouble restarting their medication regimen after a refill. We'll see others that are, you know, consistently okay. They might take, you know, 13 out of every 14 doses. And then we'll see others that are doing really well and then drop off a cliff in terms of adherence. So not all of these patients really do benefit from the same exact intervention. So what our system is starting to do is we're able to parse out what types of non-adherence we see and deliver the right type of intervention to the right patient based on, you know, the patterns that they're showing.
Who's your customer? Is it lots of different types of health and healthcare companies, or are you focusing on a particular type of customer at this point?
Mm-hmm. So our customer in the traditional sense, the entity that pays for our solution is the pharma company. The pharma company sponsors the programs, but we also consider our pharmacy partners our customers as well. They don't pay for the solution. It's a cost-free solution for them that just benefits them and their patients, but we consider them just as much a customer. So really, pharma companies and pharmacies. That said, this device, it's really robust and it really fits into the value chain anywhere a pill bottle fits in. So we've been fortunate enough to get inquiries and actually build customer relationships with lots of different companies across healthcare, whether it's children's hospitals, and we work with, St. Jude and many, many others, whether it's cancer centers like the Dana-Farber Cancer Center, many others there too. Even the US government, we work with the VA, the NIH, so really lots of different entities work with us.
What's new with the business? You've been getting extraordinary traction. I know you have a lot of exciting developments.
We're currently going nationwide in a program that's sponsored by one of the largest drug companies on the planet. So they are offering AdhereTech smart pill bottles and the associated services to their patients that take their leading cancer drugs all across the US. So we're working with the largest specialty pharmacies, household names that you see on every corner, to have AdhereTech bottles on their shelves and getting them into the hands of cancer patients, free for patients, free for specialty pharmacies, sponsored by pharma, but helping the thousands and thousands of cancer patients each and every day.
So what does the future look like? You guys have been really at the vanguard and building for the last few years, and I think part of the pioneer wave of digital health and really pushing the boundaries very early. Where do you see things going? Where do you see digital health going? Where do you see AdhereTech going over the coming years?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with AdhereTech, and we've been really fortunate to work with enormous leading companies in healthcare. Part of the reason why they're willing to give AdhereTech a chance is because when they do and they see the other companies that have as well, the results are incredibly strong. We improve adherence by about 20% on average, and then we improve time on therapy, how long a patient stays on a treatment, by about 30%. And when you're talking about cancer medication, for patients that need to take this in order to extend and save their lives, just the results are really staggering. So because of those really strong results, we've been really fortunate to have top pharma companies, top pharmacies use AdhereTech and grow in those relationships. So the way that we see our company going, continuing to grow in that regard, more pharmacies and more pharma companies. Where we see digital health going is I'd say pretty analogous to where technology is going in general. Maybe 20 years ago, technology was just a part of everyone's life, and now it touches every single aspect. An interesting quote that I once heard, and I'm probably going to bastardize it in some way, was the human body, it gives off billions of data points every day, and really none of that is collected. And when you think of the data that's collected when you, for example, go on Amazon and click through and look at different products, that is much more than what's collected from your actual body. So imagine if we could collect that data, make sense of it, and then actually provide health and health recommendations to patients based on that. The possibilities are enormous. So we play a part in that general trend of having technology just improve health and healthcare.
So in the future, once technology continues to improve, costs come down, does every pill bottle become a smart pill bottle? Hopefully from AdhereTech?
Yeah, hopefully. We think eventually yes, and I wouldn't even stop at the pill bottle level. I would say smart
shampoo bottles or whatever's in your refrigerator.
Exactly. I mean, the food that we eat affects us. That's not measured. I mean, putting intelligence into different things to get that data, I think will touch every aspect of our life. Whether it's like you said, shampoo, topical ointments, stuff like that.
So could one day this technology from AdhereTech be on a peanut butter jar?
So, we have no plans to, but yes. I mean, basically, our IP portfolio and the technology really is such that any type of container we can put these sensors into and communicate that data to an area for analysis.
And what I think is really extraordinary, we didn't talk about this earlier, is it could measure by volume as well as even down to the number of pills that are in based off of weight. Is that right?
It's based off of, it's the same technology that's in your smartphone that determines when you touch the screen.
Okay.
But we measure pill touch points inside of the bottle.
Okay.
So we have a number of sensors in the bottle. We have one that measures opening and closing of the cap, another one that measures the contents of the bottle by volume, like you mentioned. Basically, the reason why we went with that technology as opposed to weight, like you alluded to, is think of your cell phone. It has that capacitive touch technology. You drop your phone, you toss it on the couch, it still stays so accurate. Like the iPhone, measures your fingerprint, even if you drop your phone 100 times. So it's a really, really durable technology, one of the many reasons why we went with it.
Extraordinary. So you've been an entrepreneur for years. You've got a very interesting background as a health transformer. What are some of the lessons learned, some of the things that some of the wisdom you could pass on to other entrepreneurs, other health transformers?
Yeah, I would say number one, be persistent in everything you do. In any entrepreneurial journey, there will be sort of speed bumps you have to overcome. Keep your head down and work through it and solve problems. Persistence is absolutely key. And then number two, which I guess, let me preface this piece of advice with, I realize it's going to be a bit self-defeating when I say it, is take every piece of advice with a grain of salt. Even what I'm saying now. I mean, we've heard really smart people tell us you have to do A and not B. And then
the experts aren't always right.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean they're wrong, but they're not always right. So when you hear people give you advice, put it through a filter, see how it affects you and your business and your decisions, and then make the right decision for you.
You said something earlier I thought was striking about how you really worked on your strategy to make sure your solution at AdhereTech worked within the value chain. It worked within the flow that patients already operate within, that pharmacies already operate within, that pharmaceutical companies also do. How important is that to work within the workflows or the value chain that are already established?
I would say it's key, and particularly if you're doing a healthcare company, because healthcare is slow to change. And any change requirements that you have as a prerequisite in order to use your solution will only hinder any adoption. So you have to understand how things work already, how you can fit into how things work, and then improve how things work. But if you're saying, well, in order to use us, you got to do X, Y, and Z first, that's just going to slow your adoption.
I thought it was also interesting how focused you are. You've got a very clear customer, you know who your users are, you know who's paying. A lot of people in healthcare at the early stage don't understand that who uses is different than who pays sometimes. But there's a million different directions you could take AdhereTech, but you're consciously staying very focused on this initial market, even though you could go put the technology into peanut butter jars.
Yeah, completely. So we agree that focus is of the utmost importance, and one of the reasons why we have to keep an extreme sort of proactive focus on everything we do is because when you think of adherence, it really benefits every party in healthcare. Patients, better care, better outcomes when adherence is improved. Pharma companies increase sales, and pharmacies too. Insurers, they now have healthier patients to care for that need less expensive, invasive procedures. So because everyone benefits, you really have to say, okay, the potential market is everyone, but that's not realistic for a company. Where do I see adoption most likely? Where do I see the most direct ROI? So we have to keep extreme focus, particularly because we help so many different parties in the value chain.
You guys have been scaling, you've been growing, tremendous traction. Where can people go to learn more about AdhereTech, both in terms of maybe potential partners and customers, but also consumers? Should consumers ask their doctors about this, their pharmacies? Where do people go to learn more?
Yeah, I would say in general, AdhereTech.com. That's where you can sort of see the high-level overview of the product. You can contact us via that same page if you have questions, and we can direct you to the right parties. And if you're a consumer that wants to know how they can get this bottle, and again, we're always free for patients. We're sponsored by healthcare companies, free for patients. Asking your pharmacy, particularly if it's a specialty pharmacy, if they carry it yet. And we are carried by most of the largest specialty pharmacies, but yeah, there may be parties out there that are eligible that just don't know it yet.
Well, Josh, thank you for doing what you're doing. You've been on the vanguard of digital health and really the smart revolution in terms of bringing data to the Internet of Things, and really excited to see both how far you guys have come over the years and really where you're going. I think it's extraordinary. So thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom.
Yeah, and thank you as well. And honestly, Startup Health has been a huge sort of rocket booster for us. So, I mean, thank you to the whole team and you specifically, but everyone at Startup Health.
Thank you so much.